Hi everyone, I've come on today because I want to talk to you about something called the dopamine climb. Now, if I explain what I mean by that, I have long since followed a regime, which is my version of it, 90 minutes hard, productive work and then 15 minutes off, and then 90 minutes on and 15 minutes off. And this, if you like, makes my day productive but also sustainable for me in terms of energy levels. And what I do with those 15 minutes doesn't have to be heavyweight, it can actually be truly lightweight, in which case I take to picking up my phone, but perhaps playing on it for a reason, and I do simple crosswords, or I do something that I find stimulating but really focused, and it changes the pace of my work. Now, particularly, I've taken to doing mahjong, which is this tiles where they smack together. This is a competitive game, and to my surprise, I found that that was actually driving my behaviour. In other words, the dopamine hit was driving what I was doing, not the other way around. So as I was doing more of it, and then I was getting more competitive, and then I was getting higher up, the dopamine was climbing as well. Now, this is not bad from the point of view that you get a productive day because you get dopamine in your system, but I do think it's worth realising that you get quite hooked. And I don't mean just on the game, I mean on the dopamine. So the problem with it climbing during the rest of the day is that elevated levels have an impact. Now, there's 2 or 3 ways in which it impacts. One is that it can actually start to affect how easy you find it to sleep because you haven't wound down by the time you go to sleep. And that might be because of the things you're doing in the evening that don't enable this, so I'll talk about those in a minute. But the second thing is I think it can upset your behaviour for the reasons I've already said, because you start to get hooked and then you start to look for other ways to get an even bigger and better hit. This is one of the reasons why I used to say that young people chase the buzz, because they chase adrenaline, and this is why they go on bigger and bigger rides so that they get higher and it's more of a thrill. Now, again, some of this just comes with the territory. We are highly driven, very focused, very determined people, and in its own way, we want bigger, better, harder, faster, more. That's who we are. But I still think that we probably have to allow for this, because it can even impact our relationships if we get to the point where we're never satisfied and all we ever want to do is to achieve more. That's fine, again, but that means your family have to come with you on that journey, and they're not always willing to do this, in case we hadn't noticed. So be aware, really, that dopamine that comes from your work would be good if you didn't carry it home. And 1 or 2 of the suggestions I'd like to make, if you can imagine that my hands depict arrows, between 6 and 10 p.m. is the time when you really need to be able to come down. So if we do this in reverse, between 12 and 6, you are climbing the dopamine ladder. So you're doing more, you're getting more focused, you're driving, you've got productive, you are pushing hard, and then all of a sudden you come to an end of the day. Let's say it's 6 randomly for the moment. This cannot then automatically mean you will decompress in the evening. So think of it this way, between 6 and 10 p.m. you now need to be decompressing as best as possible by up to 30%, which means each hour after 6 p.m. needs to start coming back down that ladder. Therefore, start to think about ways in which you can walk the dog, do less, perhaps read, listen to music, watch something simple on the TV, spend time with the family so they get some of you as well. Try not to get super aggravated, don't make big calls, don't walk the dog and go on your phone. Get changed into your trackies so that you can really make your home space a decompression space. We won't be able to come back down to 50% necessarily, but we could work hard at coming off the 80 to bring it down somewhere below then. That way, I think you have a fat chance of making your performance sustainable, and in a 5-day, this is going to get quite intense. So by the weekend, could I just recommend gently that you watch how many times you say yes to lots of invitations, because it also then means you're going to get quite a lot of dopamine into your system. You're looking for serotonin as to balance that. So serotonin is deeply ingrained in family events, in chatting with friends. So invitations for dinner, you can say yes, because those are fun. Anything which is fun is going to be an antidote for that dopamine hit. Have a think, maybe, and I'll be back on soon to come up with more tips. Take care for now.